They wake up today on pace for 87 wins and in the playoffs, Mego.
Woo!
How's that? You leave for a few days. Next thing you know, you wake up, the Red Sox are in the playoffs.
I'm getting all these alerts about #FunSox. I'm like, what year are we in?
It is burning up the internet. It's true how wild that's become.
Feels like the early aughts. Feels like my youth.
So it's Jones and Mego with Arcand here on WEI. We're taking your phone calls, 617-779-7937. You want to talk Red Sox? Good spot to do it today. We'll get to the Patriots. We'll get to the Stanley Cup final tonight. Pretty big Game 7. Any Bruins and Celtics thoughts you have lingering as well. We'll get to those again on the phones. We'll get to our big question of the day as well coming up here in a moment. Mego, family wedding? Good weekend for you?
Yeah, awesome. Like, I don't know. I feel like I've been a little bit out of the wedding reps, and I got a couple big ones this summer. So I felt like going into it, I was like, how am I going to perform? Am I going to be able to keep up? Am I going to know, like, how to pace myself during the cocktail hour?
Oh, yeah.
Am I going to know when to switch to wine at dinner and then go back to, the vodka sodas or the tequila sodas on the dance floor because I know that they're giving weak pours and I don't have to feel bad about going up and getting another.
All very specific information she gleaned from this weekend.
Yeah, it's true, right?
It's all around one topic, it seems like.
I don't know. I go to a wedding and just drive open bar. I'm just drinking whatever. So get ready for that in a few weeks.
Like
Mego.
calculation.
Yeah, just whatever's there.
Well,
I'm
it was
drinking
weird.
it.
I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna do. And I gotta say, I thought I did really great. And then the bride posted this horrifying video from the dance floor. And I know I'm a bad dancer.
Yeah, we've all seen you dance. So I don't know what you're surprised at.
It was a cute video of her dancing with her friends.
Uh-huh.
And Mr. Who and I were in the background, and it was that song Levels by Avicii.
Yeah. Oh, that Levels. I
Not
thought you
Nick
meant
Jonas?
That's exactly what I thought you meant.
Now that's a Levels right there.
Yeah.
I looked like I was on Mars. It was like the body was kind of moving, but the eyes were totally face expressionless eyes on
the Molly was
planet.
just kicking in. It's one of those.
No, so I was, and these are great details about the wedding. I was just going to say there was a conspiracy theory that because you love parades so much, you've been to so many parades, as we found, that you weren't actually going to a wedding. You were just choosing to ditch out
in the parade,
just to go to the parade, just to go attend the parade.
Because I could have gone to the parade,
and
then gone to work.
Yeah, but not fully though. No, you couldn't have fully had a fan day and done that. Not like some of the fans I saw walking over there. You weren't doing a radio show after that.
I was having a little FOMO. I was like, I saw your guys' videos with Keith. I was like, it really likes Keith so much more than me. I feel really left out.
Well, the one lady. Did you see the video of the one lady who crashed the broadcast?
Yes.
Oh, Arcand, what was that young woman's name again?
Hold on, I have it.
For Joe Mazzulla, what's your question? Yeah.
I don't know who you are. Who is
He's
that?
the coach. He's the coach of the Celtics. Yes, he's the coach of the Celtics.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
That was my new friend Deshana who joined the show.
That was her question. Joe Mazzulla, who are you? That was her question. So a lot of good stuff at Dylan's. We had fun on Friday. So we'll get into a variety of topics, as I said here today. Celtics parade still out there if you'd like to get to it. Simple question for you on the phones at 617-779-7937. You can vote in our big Q at 2 at Jones and Mego on Twitter. Will the Red Sox, not can they be, should they be, will the Red Sox be a playoff team? Again, they win 2 out of 3 over the weekend. They're hot, 9 out of 11. They're in a playoff spot as of now. They're on pace for 87 wins. At last check, and I meant to refresh this before the show. I'll get you an answer here in a moment. At last check, their playoff odds, because they care about this, were 36.3%. I'll double check. 36.3 is what I saw earlier today. So are they a playoff team? Will they be a playoff team, Mego?
Yes. They'll be a wild card team. And I was thinking about this in relation to last year, because I even saw some of the responses to our prompt on Twitter about this, our big Q at 2 on Twitter, and people saying it's the same thing as the last 2 years, same old story. It's going to be the same. They were in the same position. And they're in a tough division. Like, that's not changing. But they proved something when they beat the Phillies and they beat the Yankees, more so than just being on a streak that they're on with these series. And I think having Duran and Rafael out there compared to the team last year is just such a different level of athleticism, both in the base running. I mean, Duran, like you said this before the show, Arcand, he has been a monster. Like, I did not see this coming from him. And then on the other side, having Rafael out just in defensively, it changes your team so much. Hopefully you get Tristan Casas back and he's healthy. And above all, I think that they just look like a team who's playing with nothing to lose. Like they just look loose and hashtag fun socks. And if you look at the teams around them in the wild card standings, it's like, okay, that the Orioles are incredibly good. And some of these other teams, like, I'm not sure that they're going to be so much better through the second half of the season. I don't see why not them.
Okay, so in fairness, some of us saw this early, what this team was going to be. Some of us saw this
a little
early.
more cynical.
So, but what changed?
What changed?
Yeah.
I didn't think Jarren Duran was going to be this guy. I didn't know if Rafaela was going to be able to contribute more than just defensively. I definitely never thought Tanner Houck was going to be this guy. I mean, his ERA is 2.14. Last year, he finished with a 5. Like, it's just that it looks like a different team. And so you can't deny what you're watching.
Arcand, yes or no? They're a playoff team.
I think they are a playoff team now, and I have been resisting this for a long time, even back in that Rays series when I thought they were both at 500, and I thought, all right, this is probably going to be the series where Tampa Bay takes off and the Red Sox start, getting put in their place more or less, because it just seemed like what they were doing was untenable. The pitching, the way it was in the first 2 months of the season, was just so good that it seemed like this isn't going to hold up. Bunch of guys get injured, and then all of a sudden Jarren Duran turns into Ken Griffey Jr. for a month, and he's been carrying this team on his back. He's been unbelievable, this guy. MVP conversations on ESPN with him now in the top 5 for the American League at the break, which we're not even at yet, but still, I mean, what he's done this month offensively, and that catch the other night was awesome. He has been a real superstar lately, and he's carried the team when the pitching started to fall off. The reason I think that this is going to keep going the way it is now is because all of this has happened without the team being completely intact, and that's something that may never happen this year. But as guys come back and guys return to the lineup, I think that you're going to see maybe not a huge jump, because at this point, it seems like
he was pausing for dramatic effect.
It seems like they've kind of hit the ceiling of how good this group's going to be before reinforcements come back. But I think once that happens, you're going to see even maybe more than this. And if they can hold on to that, I don't really believe in the Royals. I don't believe in some of these other wild card teams all that much. Houston, I feel like, Tampa, those other teams that are below them, Toronto, who they're going to see at Fenway this week. I just feel like they've had plenty of time to sort of prove themselves. And the Red Sox, in the time where they should have been getting buried, were pulling themselves up above 500. And I think that that's really impressive. It's way better than anybody expected them to be, even before all the injuries. And I just think that that's something that you can't ignore.
Okay, so you can jump in. 617-779-7937. Celtics are done, and everybody's buying in on the Red Sox all of a sudden.
Everything feels good right now.
It's kind of true, yeah.
So, you know what? I do think the Celtics correlate a little bit here. Like, I do think now fans are a little more like, oh, you know what? I'll give this team a shot.
They Alex correlate.
Yeah, they I think it all ties together. They Alex correlate, Ryan, because
he would have booed us if we said that.
Yeah, no, I mean, we all wanted to. The city.
That's a bad one, right?
The city is feeling good, and it was a good day on Friday, even though Mego skipped out. And I think people want to buy in. I think people are more prone to buying in. I think people have been coaxed into buying in on this team, even though some of us have been telling you since day one to buy in on this team. So, yeah, I think they will be a playoff team. I've thought it all along. Ryan informed me their Fangraphs odds are up to 37.5%,
Wow.
which I don't care about. You don't care about. I don't think you care about, Mego. I don't know if any of you driving around care about it. They care about. They pay attention to. Tomasi wrote about this last week. I thought it was a good point. So that's the number they buy in on. That's the number they cited last year at the trade deadline. It's similar to the number that John Henry cited. Well, we only have a 1 in 30 chance to win the World Series. Well, if you're a playoff team and those odds are going up, you have a better chance to win the World Series than a team that has no shot at making the postseason, like the White Sox or the Rockies or somebody like that. And even John Henry, a math man at heart, would have to buy in on that. So, yeah, I think they will be a playoff team. And I don't know if they're going to add. I don't know if they're going to sell. I hope they don't do the second thing. But we can hash all that out with your phone calls at 617-779-7937. On Duran, an MVP candidate. That caught me off guard when you sent that today, Arcand. I've been talking about Houck as a Cy Young guy, a guy who could start the All-Star game. I think that drumbeat's been out there for a while. Jarren Duran.
That same article, he's number 1 in AL Cy Young top 10.
Yeah, but I'm saying we've been talking about that. Like,
Right.
that one didn't catch me off guard. Duran caught me a little off guard that he's an MVP candidate. I think he's definitely an all-star. He should be an all-star in his sleep. Ref Snyder said it right at the top of the show. We'll play you Cora coming up here in a moment because I think he had some interesting comments about Duran and whether or not he's really become the leader of this team. But I love what he did on Saturday. Like the the game-saving catch is the highlight. Like, that's an unbelievable play. I don't know how sustainable that one is, and I don't know that, he's going to be a Gold Glover in center field. He's not robbing home runs every day, obviously. But the defense in center field, I don't know if that's something you can expect every day out of him. I don't know if I expect that even going forward. I like him better in left field. I think defensively they're so much better aligned when he's in left field, and he moved over late in that game and made a tremendous catch to save that game. The play that I do think is sustainable is tagging up on a short fly to left field and scoring. Like, his speed, his base running makes an impact, makes a difference, puts fear into the other team, havoc on the bases, like all those buzzwords we've been talking about. I think that's a real thing. And now a couple of times in the last week, going back to Sunday Night Baseball against the Yankees, you had the game where they stole, 5 last week as well. And then you get this game on Saturday. That's like 2 or 3 examples in the last week where his speed and their approach to being aggressive on the bases are stealing them wins, which is something Cora said they could do last week.
Yeah, and Cora, I think, continues to beat that drum and saying, like, he's encouraging them to push the envelope in these situations, especially when it's a really close game like on Saturday and you're trying to dig yourself back out. And it's like, I don't know, like 98 degrees out there in Ohio. It looked absolutely miserable. But for Duran, he seems like a guy who is also just like gaining momentum as the season goes on. The only thing that I hope is that whatever happens at the trade deadline, they don't lose that momentum, because I think that there's like a real strong sense of who they are in the clubhouse and rallying around that, and just the personality of these guys. And you listen to Alex Cora talk about it, and it feels like a real thing. I know we hear that leading up to the trade deadline at some points, but I don't think the team has been this good. And so my only fear is that you have all these good feelings and everything carrying them right now, and this very aggressive approach to the game, which, as you said, Jones, like, may or may not be what the front office and the computers are telling them to do, but seems to be what Alex Cora wants them to do. And does any of that fall off after they get through the All-Star break?
Yeah, that's a fair question. Jarren Duran, by the way, this month he's played in 20 games. 3 of those games he hasn't gotten a hit in. 5 of them he's had 1 hit, and the other 12 have been multi-hit games. Like, he's killing it this month. He's really, like, beyond any expectation I could have possibly had for him. And I think that's sort of it, Mega. Like, you're right. The expectations for this team going into the season were not very high. And it's something where I think, ownership's going to look at it one of 2 ways. Basically, are we happy with this? Are we happy with the plan of not really doing anything? Are we going to stick to it, or is this worth investing in? And I think, whatever they end up deciding, we all want to see him invest, but it doesn't. This isn't a normal ownership group. That's not how they go about it.
I think Sam Kennedy should go back on the morning show and say that they're underperforming again. Since then, it's like, maybe that's
motivated them.
Yeah, maybe that's the motivator. They need an agitator there so that they can all band together behind Alex Cora.
Maybe. So I, by the way, am not holding my breath on them buying and adding at the trade deadline. I do think we're safe from them selling, I think, as we discussed last week, if they keep this up. I don't think they're going to sell off Tyler O'Neill or Kenley Jansen if they're sitting in a playoff spot. Buying, I don't believe they're doing that. I'm not going to take it that far. So we can get to your phone calls. Will they be a playoff team? 617-779-7937 on the phones. You can also vote at Jones and Mego. It's pretty split right now, so I would say your vote matters. Meanwhile, just monitoring the Twitch chat here. Twitch.tv/Boston WEEI. One of many ways you can follow along on the show. You can watch on the live stream. You can do the same on YouTube. Subscribe to WEEI and seek us out there. The Boston Massacre says Jones is only crowing about this because it's a take he had in April. Yes. Well, right. Yeah. So that's also known as being right. Yeah. So that's number one.
That's the best time to crow about something.
Number 2 is it was a take I had just to be different. No. I was just like everybody else going into the season. I didn't think this team would be good. I watched them for one game, opening up, running the bases, playing defense, and I said, oh, it's different. And so I didn't feel that way in the offseason. I didn't buy in at all with how they approached the offseason or who they added or any of that. I thought it was all garbage. The good vibes and everything else, I've heard that in a bunch of springs. I watched them for one game, and then I bought in.
And then what did you do? You went out and you bought a snazzy hat, and you took the bustiest picture.
I did.
And then...
Thirst trapping.
Arcand looked at you in the Fenway studio and said, hold my beer.
Correct.
I got to get these hush puppies out there.
That's right.
Correct.
You guys have been
hold the beer right between these 2
since.
melons.
Red Sox thirst trapping is what we were doing. So again, you can jump in here. Meanwhile, here's Cora on Jarren Duran, who I don't know if he'll be league MVP. I mean, he wouldn't be my vote, but he should certainly be an all-star. And, maybe he is a real foundational building block leader on this team. Here's Cora.
Last night, called him to the office. I said, hey, you got an off day tomorrow. He's like, that. He knows now, yeah. You know what? He works so hard, and he now understands what he needs to do to play every day, to keep his energy the way he should. Huddy and him, they have great communication as far as like the defensive work that he needs to put to be ready on a daily basis. The hitting group with him have been great. There's a lot of good stuff going on with him. The preparation is second to none. It's pre-game and post-game. He goes 4 for 4, and they sit down and they break down the at-bats. And did we execute the plan regardless of the results? Same thing when he goes 0 for 4. Did we execute the plan? And sometimes the 0 for 4 doesn't mean that he didn't. It's just he got beat, right? And he's driving the ball now, hitting the ball all over the place. The at-bats are really good, and we'll see in a month. I mean, that's going to be fun, I believe. That Sunday when they announce the All-Stars is a special one, and if this happens, it's going to be great. It's going to be great.
Okay, so there does seem to be a movement from the team to get Duran to the All-Star game. If he keeps playing this way, I think he'll get himself there. I don't know if he's a household name in Boston. When I say that, I don't think he is. I don't think he's a superstar. I don't think he's the kind of guy who's getting people to tune in. I do think that playing style, though, translates. And I've been saying this for a few weeks. If the Red Sox as a team are going to play that way and he's going to play that way, I think there's a chance that energy, that base running, that excitement can get people to tune in. Even if they don't have superstars, Ortiz, Pedro, Schilling, guys like that, the style of play or his style of play specifically, I think can cross over. Cora had more, by the way. I found this interesting because we've talked about this with Devers as a star and a leader, and is he a reluctant leader? Here's what he said to the Boston Globe. He said, this is going to set up the organization for the future about Jarren Duran. Having a guy that when the prospects make it here, Meyer and guys like this, they have a guy to look up to. We love Rafi and the way he is, a play and lead by example guy. But as a group, we need somebody that people look up to right, who better than the leadoff guy that plays every day, and he's been great in the clubhouse. I'm trying to find the leader for this organization, says Cora. Which, by the way, if he's trying to find that, maybe that's a forward-looking thing for his job security and everything else. He's going to help us not only this year, but he's going to help everybody in the future. He loves it, and he understands it. He's becoming a guy. Why are you sighing?
Because that's just it just speaks like so poorly of Rafi to me, of Devers. Like, he just has never been able to be that guy. I don't know if they expected him to be when Mookie and when Xander Bogaerts were here. I remember the first season after Bogaerts was gone at the beginning, they're going, okay, it's going to be time for, Cora was saying, Devers isn't a kid anymore. He's going to be out there in the light, and he's going to be, the highest paid guy in all this. And I don't know why he doesn't have that in him. And so I'm happy that they found it in Jarren Duran. I think it's just frustrating since Devers is the guy that ownership has actually paid from that 2018 team. Like, he's the guy who's won before. And you're going to be ushering in all these young guys who they've held on to, like white knuckle gripping these prospects. And by the time they get here, I guess it'll be Jarren Duran who's the leader in the clubhouse.
So maybe. And that's a rocky one, right? Like, that's a guy who, just a few years ago was struggling with the rigors of Major League Baseball. And it's great that he's overcome that, but is he the kind of guy you want to put that burden on, I guess is the way I would put that. If he wants it, great. But
people naturally fill the role or don't fill. You know what I mean? No matter how good you are or how much you're getting paid, I hate to say it, you should want to take on a role like that and just sort of be in control of the clubhouse as the best player. Rafael Devers, but he just doesn't have that type of personality. Some people just don't have it.
Do you think Duran can be it? And forget the leader part. We don't know the dynamics of the clubhouse. But, do you think he can be the guy who people tune in for, face of the team. Like that, this team desperately needs that.
Yes. I mean, it'd be nice if you hit a little more home runs, I guess. That'd be a nice marketable thing. But you're talking about a very, very good defensive outfielder who's been good this year, who's suddenly tearing it up and can't miss a bat. So, I mean, if that's something that continues and he's stealing bases and legging out triples and all this other stuff, like, yeah, that's something that no matter who you are, whatever it is, you see those highlights on TV and they start to pick up, Ellie De La Cruz and some of these other guys, like you see guys like that and people are naturally drawn to them. You could definitely fill that role.
Let me just tell you, it's another Dave Dombrowski prospect draft pick who,
2018,
for as bad as his farm system was, and we got to get rid of him because the farm system stinks.
He's a 7th round pick or something?
Like Tanner Houck might win the Cy Young. Jarren Duran on one list is top 5 for the AL MVP. Those are Dave Dombrowski prospects. He kept Devers. He didn't trade Devers. Like, this idea you had to rebuild the farm system, to me, is nonsense. And I would learn from that, looking in the other direction, by the way. You can trade off a bunch of prospects and still draft and bring guys in just like this organization has done. They traded away 1 million prospects when Dombrowski was here. The key is identifying the right ones. It's not keeping every single prospect. It's identifying the right ones,
That's
which Dombrowski did an underrated job at.
He did a good job at it, I agree with you, but also it took 9 years for Jarren Duran to be an impact player, so it's not like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like he was ready right away. He was someone that they drafted in 2018, and now at 27 years old is finally starting to pay off. So it's not like you got a ton of great years out of Jarren Duran.
Okay, but
I
also,
understand what you're
but
saying.
he made the right choice between, like, Moncada and
That's
Devers.
True. He did.
So, like, to me, I think he had a better eye for that than he gets credit for. Another argument for another day. Can I read something that caught my eye in Slack today?
Okay, I know I'm going to pay for this.
What, Mego?
I'm just going to
read. The people don't even know
you're
what we're
not
talking
gonna
about.
Let me explain it.
The people don't even know what we're talking about. I'm just going to read something that went into Slack today.
I know you.
The Red Sox, we all feel, are a playoff team,
Yes.
which I just assumed the Red Sox getting to the playoffs would be a good thing.
Uh-huh.
Not so fast, my friends. In Slack today, I'm not sure it's even a great thing for this club. It's like in 2021, and if it sends you into 2 more years of ownership standing pat, that would be the downside of, I guess, making the playoffs. So someone on this show, I think you may already know who it is going to have to explain themselves.